When I use the word mysticism, I'm referring to a kind of experience, a kind of, shall we say, state of consciousness. It's something that simply happens. And we don't know why it happens, and although there are all sorts of techniques which claim to be able to promote it, and which are more or less successful in doing so, and sometimes rather less than more, nevertheless there is this peculiar thing that happens to people. And it's been recorded as far back in time as we have any recording at all. And that is coming over people the peculiarly convincing sensation that their ordinary sense of individuality, of personal identity, is transcended. I'm talking about a rather whimsical, unpredictable experience that suddenly hits people. And it includes this element of feeling the total harmoniousness of everything. Now, I realize that those words can carry with them a sort of sentimental feeling, a sort of Pollyanna feeling. So this thing, the sensation of a kind of universal harmony, cannot come to us when it is sought, when we look for it as something to be an escape from the way we actually feel, or to compensate for the way we actually feel. It's a thing that comes out of the blue. And when it comes out of the blue, just like hiccups come out of the blue, or something like that, it's overwhelmingly convincing. And it stands as, actually, the foundation for most of mankind's profound philosophical, mystical, metaphysical, and religious ideas. Someone, in other words, to whom this sort of thing has happened, can't restrain himself when it has happened, and he has to get up and tell everybody about it. And alas, he becomes the founder of a religion. Because people say, look at that man, how happy he is. What conviction he has. He has no doubts. He seems to be sure in everything he does. You see, that's a wonderful thing about a great human being. He's like an animal or a flower. See, when a flower buds and the bud goes pop and opens, it has no hesitation or doubts about it. Because you see, he sees everybody around him looking dreadfully serious. Looking as if they had a problem. Looking as if the act of living were extremely difficult. But from his standpoint, the person who's had this experience, he feels that they look funny, that they don't understand, that there isn't any problem at all, that he has seen from where he stands, you see, that the meaning of being alive is just being alive. That is to say, I look at the color of your hair and the shape of your eyebrow, and I understand that that is the point. That's what we're all here for. And it's so plain, and it's so obvious, and so simple. And yet here is everybody rushing around in a great panic, as if it were necessary for them to achieve something beyond all that. And the funny thing is, they're not quite sure what it is. But they are devilishly intent upon it, after that thing. And so, to the person in the state of consciousness, which I call mystical, that all seems very weird, very absurd. But it's not something that you criticize in an unkindly way. You don't say, those damn fools, those idiots. You say, it's such a pity that they don't see it. Because although they are going around in this wildly ignorant pursuit, one of the funny things about it is that they don't realize that there is a dimension, a sense in which their pursuit is magnificent. It's to give an obverse sense to the saying, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Turn that into its opposite. Not forgive them, but give them a blessing, because they don't know what they do. Give them an honor.
After having such an incredible time last year, I knew I had to come back to Morocco. It's like going back in time here. There is a richness, both visually and socially, that is sometimes jarring to the senses. It forces you deep into each moment, and I knew it was something I wanted to try and capture on film whilst I was here. Here's Armand. He's a cinematographer from Spain, and it turns out he was equally enthused to create something cool from our trip. With one of the biggest swells of the year on the way, we linked up in Tagazout and headed off to Blue Waves for a little warm-up surf.
Check the one behind you.
Oh, yes, we happy
Oh, they're coming to Australia.
And import.
You done. Looks like we're ready.
We're ready. We're gonna hopefully get some tubes.
Hey guys, it was my dream. I was looking for that day for years, man, and then just broke my.
During the afternoon, the swell jacked, the biggest it's been all year, according to the locals. Driving along the point breaks, I noticed one little area with nobody out and some serious-looking tubes on offer. It looked like empty Kira or something, but with nobody in the water, we couldn't quite tell how big it was or if it was too fast to actually surf. But I had to give it a try.
Trying to keep my expectations low, but I've literally seen more epic tubes than I've seen the whole trip in the last 10 minutes. Just gotta stay in the spot. Yeah, well, yeah. I reckon it'd be similar out there.
I think you need to go down this way, eh?
That way.
This way, this way.
It's a nice
Kel, you go, yeah, but you have like a way down here.
This way?
Yeah.
Down and then...
The sun was going down and I rushed out to the empty lineup as fast as I could. And straight away I got confirmation that, indeed, it was pumping. The current was incredibly strong, the strongest I've ever had to deal with, but luckily I nabbed a wave straight away.
Sometimes my soul gets insecure, but you know my intentions are good.
It was super hard to read with the strong offshore wind, but just the fact that I was in a barrel with not a single surfer within a kilometre of our spot had my energy through the roof. I'd misjudged the size by a mile, and I was feeling at least 6 inches too short on my 5'11". With the current and the wind and time running out, I was freaking out because I was seeing absolute tens coming through, but I just couldn't get to them.
I'll do you good, but I can promise to work really hard. Shoot that arrow in my heart. Live in honesty, and I'll try to
This remains one of the best waves of my life and one of the worst waves of my life. If I had read it correctly, perhaps been in a better position, on a bigger board, I could have stood tall and enjoyed easily the best barrel of my life. Instead, I have to sit and be content with what is still a pretty sick wave and a good tube, but what could have been the best of my life. It's a wave that I've lost so much sleep over since, but ultimately it's one that I'm grateful for because I want to conquer it next time.
They say you need to listen to your son. Neptune is coming, no water, I'll drown.
I tried to paddle back to the takeoff spot against the current, but with the swell maxing, it was literally impossible to move. I had to watch some of the most perfect waves I've ever seen grind down the bank right in front of me, and my heart literally wrenched with longing for them. It's a reminder of the yin and the yang of surfing, and although it hurts, it makes me smile. Tono drifts through the lineup and we have to fight and watch the perfect waves roll through as we're dragged a kilometre down the beach to the next town. The sun sets as we hit the beach and we laugh at what was both the best session of our lives and also the worst.
There is a domain where pleasure and pain reach each other, so that we weep for joy and shudder with delight. Because the opposites, the things that we seem to see as in absolute conflict, consciousness and unconsciousness, life and death, black and white, are absolutely essential to each other. And we can take this, you can flip it suddenly into any dimension of human experience.
When we think of waves and talk about waves, we think about the crests. We think about this point, and we say that is waves. And that is because the crests stand out from the underlying uniform bed of water. You cannot have the emphasis called a crest, the concave, without the de-emphasis or convex called the trough. They necessarily go with one another. So as to have anything standing out, there must be, as it were, something standing down or standing back. So in this way, we must realize that if you had this part alone, the up part, that would not excite your senses in any way because there would be no contrast.